Hello and welcome. Let me turn up that volume a little bit. Hopefully it's not too loud. But anyways, in this video, I'm going to give you some insight and information on Ikemen itself. If you have not still looked into it yourself, you should always look into things yourself in order to get a definitive answer, because all the information is out there. You do, however, have to seek it out and again read it, but it's there. It is there. So first thing first, people who download this, surprisingly, and I'm so surprised to hear it, they don't know how to run it. They download Ikemen and they're looking for a Mugen EXE. This is not Mugen. It does not matter how many times I say it, there's always going to be someone, but it looks like Mugen. That's because it was based on it, but a superior version. It's so similar, I understand, but it's not the same thing. It's really not. And I'm going to show you some specific things. And a lot of the groundwork that was put into this is from Mugen, but it's just really a transfer and a port type of thing. And we'll get more into that as we go on with the video. But Mugen and Ikemen are not the same thing. They are different. Today we're going to explore some of those differences. Again, so back to what I was saying, how do I run it? First thing first, before you even download this, look. If your PC cannot run game, I would just say if your PC doesn't have a graphics card, you're probably not going to be able to use this to the maximum capability. Your PC is just not going to be able to handle it. You need a graphics card. You need OpenGL. If you have a graphics card, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have OpenGL. If you don't have OpenGL, you can use this, but it's not going to run well. And first thing first, let me show you how to go about that if you do have a potato. So first thing first, you see the first folder I went into was SSZ. Then you're going to find this config.z, SSZ. So I'll tell you, something that you need, I recommend, you don't need it, but I really highly recommend you download Notepad Plus. If you download Notepad Plus, it'll be easier. It'll make all of this way easier. You can open this with Notepad, but if you open it with Notepad Plus, things will just be more organized. So let's open it. First, let's open it with Notepad first so you can see. Where is it? Let me put Notepad. Now I gotta add it so you can see what I'm looking at. Okay, this is the config SSZ in Notepad, but as you can see, it's normal. You can easily read it, but when you open things in Notepad Plus, hold on a second. Where is it? It's not even on here. Hold on. Here we go. So maybe in this specific document, you can't really notice the difference, but we're gonna get. I'll show you how it works better in things that are longer and use word wrap, etc. But anyways, we're looking at it here. Let's just go through it. So again, if you do not have OpenGL, in this newer version of Ikemen Plus, if you use Ikemen back in the day, you had to change all of this stuff manually. You had to open up the config and change all of this manually. You no longer have to do any of this. I recommend excuse me, not touching any of this. You don't need to touch any of this in the notepad unless you know what you are doing. If you don't know what you're doing, just leave it alone, because now you can change all of this in the options menu. There was never an options menu in vanilla Ikemen, but in Ikemen Plus there is. It has been implemented and it works. You no longer have to manually go and do this stuff. I know it was an annoyance for some, but you no longer have that issue. Anyway, let's continue to go down. So here it is right here, OpenGL. This basically saying, do you want to use OpenGL? If you have it, use it. Always use it. It will run 100% better. If you do not use it, if your PC does not have it, you can try doing this, changing it to false. That's all you change, and you save it. Save it and see if it runs. I don't have a PC that has trouble with it, so I can't really, tell you what to do. But in my experience, people have tried this. This was a fix in an older version, and it worked for some. So this is what you can try and see if it works. And I wish you the best. But other than that, I could tell you that I know even if I change this to false on my PC, some stages will lag, like the HD stages and things like that. I use experiment, and it's not a PC thing. It's just like when you change it to false, it's just not optimized. It's just not. I don't think it's optimized, or it's just not optimal for me in my experience, anyways. But I'm gonna just go back to normal, whatever. But anyways, that's what you would do in order to run it. If you start it and you get an error right away, that's what you should do. It may not work, but I mean, that's something you can try. Alright, so let's go back to the main root. Alright. Goodness, we are still in the tutorial part of how to run it. For all those, how do I run it? Where's the Mugen EXE? I'm looking and I don't see it. That's because this is not Mugen. And there are those people out there. This is not Mugen. So I gotta say it again. This here is the only one that stands out and looks like an EXE. Right? So let's go to properties here. I don't know if you can see that on the screen. Damn, but when you download this, press properties, you're going to see that it says .exe. That's the only exe. And you don't know how many times I've heard someone say, there's no exe, how do I run it? I'm making a face right now you can't see. How do I run an exe? Oh, no, I'm just playing. But yeah, like, damn, y'all really do not be dropping. Y'all downloading it and it's like, it's not freaking automated and automatically, like, starting by itself. Y'all like, what the hell? Man, y'all so used to freaking how things are. Everything done for you, but you just run Ikemen EXE. If you run it, let's try and run it and see what will happen. So I double click it. And let me change it so the camera gets on it. So it'll automatically switch it over once it is up there. Well, after a while, it takes a minute. There we go. So there we go. What do we see here? The first thing we see is Mugen. I get you. I feel you. We vibing right now. I'm trying to connect with you. I understand. But I just said it was not Mugen. I lied to you. I betrayed you. No, but that is not the case. Actually, at the bottom, right here in the bottom left-hand side, you can see it says Ikemen. Ikemen. This is still Ikemen. Why do we see a Mugen logo on our screen? D, what the hell are you talking about? Alright, allow me to explain, kind sir or ma'am. Alright, so it's Mugen because, as I was saying a little bit earlier, Mugen was used as a base to create this. All of the modes and functionality from Mugen was ported over to Ikemen. So the arcade mode. Okay, first let me stop there. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Vanilla Ikemen does not have arcade mode. It does not have any of the other modes. It only has versus online mode. That's it. Everything else was added in this version, Ikemen Plus. And there's some other things I may be missing, but for the most part, what Ikemen Plus did was take all of the modes and functionalities from Mugen and add them to Ikemen. So now you can have your arcade mode, your co-op, survival, and options and whatever else that was added, and still keep the online mode, which we have right here. Oh, hold on, I gotta click on the screen. Online. Now we basically have ourselves here our base kit. From here, you can change the screen pack as if you would any other Mugen, but there is a little more work involved. You will actually have to read and look into some things to see how to do it. But again, let's go back to what I said before in the beginning. A recommended program you need, Notepad Plus. With Notepad Plus, you can open each of these things, and because of our gracious friend who put so much time and effort into making this, made labels and syntaxes for each thing describing what they do. So again, if I didn't already say, I'll say it again. The main benefit for using Ikemen is if you are a creator, developer, etc. In my opinion, if you just want to use this type of thing for casual play and you're not really interested in making anything or taking it to the next level, then this is probably not going to appeal to you as much as it would someone who is interested in making a game, such as myself. Because with this, we have more access to more features that are closer to commercial titles. Okay, so before I get into all of this, first let's look at the modes that we have right here. Then I'm gonna show you how you can mess with this stuff. So arcade mode, Ikemen, vanilla Ikemen did not have arcade mode. Now we have arcade mode fully fledged. Versus mode, we had versus mode, and you know the main problem with Mugen is, if you've been playing Mugen, I'm gonna assume that you guys watching have, we can never play versus a computer. You know what I mean? Like, you always have to either turn the AI on so that the player 2 will stop playing AI, because there was no other way to play the AI unless you went to watch mode and controlled one of the computers. Again, so that's versus mode. Normal, 1 versus 2, 1 versus a human player. Player 2 will automatically be the second side. Online, let's go to online just so you can see the choices. We have online versus. Team co-op, which is team arcade. You can play arcade mode online with your buddy. You can play, excuse me, you can play survival online with your buddy. Already, come on now. How long have we waited for something like this and wanted to? The main thing with Mugen is because after playing arcade mode so many times, it's so boring. There's not anything else you could do. I mean, you could play survival or whatever, but that's it. It was whatever. There was not much to it. So that's why I personally want to make a full game type of thing, because it's like you're trying to maximize assets and try to make as much as you can out of it type of thing. If you like to edit your Mugen, if you have your own little Mugen you put together, whatever, then I think that this should interest you, because you can put anything that you make together and you and another friend can enjoy it, or you and however many people. You guys can play it with each other or against each other, whatever. And I'll go over a little thing about the online mode itself. So if you did not already know, in order to play with someone online, you and that other person need to have the exact same version of characters, build, etc. Everything has to be identical. Otherwise, it will disconnect. Now, let me use a comparison to a retail game that you may know. So, Guilty Gear, Street Fighter 4. Street Fighter 4, I'll just use that one. I'm pretty sure more people have played it. You need, there's Arcade Edition, Ultra, etc. In order to play with someone, you guys have to use the same version. It's no different. You can't play someone with Arcade Edition on Ultra because it's different. It's fundamentally different. You have to be playing on the same version. This is no different. You cannot connect with someone who's not on the same version as you. this is no different now. But now, as I say that, there are exceptions to this. I'll get into how you actually connect online. Once you click one of these modes, it's going to ask you to enter the IP address of whomever you're trying to connect to. So if they have their IP address, they can just give it to you. You can directly connect. You can port forward. You can use Hamachi, Evolve. I think Evolve is going down. I believe I got an email about that. I think, but I don't know if Tungo is still up. But we used Tungo back in the day. Any third-party app, a VPN service that creates a virtual lobby, because this does not support its own lobby system, as far as I know. I believe it can be done, but I personally have no knowledge how to do so. But right now, in this version, there is no lobby system. So you use one of those to create a virtual lobby. Anyways, as I was saying, if you use Parsec, however you say it, I can't pronounce it right, you don't need to worry about that, because you only need one computer with this on there. You guys are basically, if you know how that program works, I don't really need to explain it, because it works the same way as it would with any other game you're playing on that. But that would be the one exception to that. Anyway, so yeah, it will disconnect if you guys' things are not the same. That's why whatever you're passing around, you and the person you're playing with, it has to be exactly the same, identical. It makes sense. Okay, so like I said, now you can play these modes versus each other. In Vanilla Ikemen, it was only versus mode, but now we can play co-op. Now we can play survival. It's just awesome. Alright, so, man, I hope I'm not too loud, but I mean, my videos are usually too low, so hopefully this is better. You guys can just turn it down. So anyways, the next mode, team co-op. Basically, team arcade. This is with another player, because arcade mode, you can do single, you can do turns, you can do tag. Oh, and simultaneously, both. In this, you can use both. You can use simultaneous and tag. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry, excuse me. In the Ikemen Go, which is the newer one, it was actually made a thing. But in this Ikemen Plus, I believe it's still simultaneously if you don't use any type of tag patches, etc. So team co-op, like I said, is basically you with another player playing arcade. Survival is survival, obviously. All the co-op modes are just player 2, basically, with a friend. Training mode was not in Vanilla Ikemen. It is now in Vanilla Ikemen. When you download Vanilla Ikemen, it comes with training mode already. So once you go here, I'll just click it. Kung Fu Man, Shinakuma. These are the characters it comes with. Once you select the character, you choose a stage. It's automatically going to load up training mode. So the thing with training mode is whatever keys you have set the player to, you have to explore with this. And if you can, you can create your own training mode type of thing or what have you, but it comes with this base one, this standard one that a lot of people use. But basically, whatever players' 2 controls are, those are what you use to control the training. But it's pretty self-explanatory. You could change it. You can see the damage of attacks or whatever, frame advantage and all that. And you can bring up the menu and state type. You want them to stand, jump, distance, auto guard, recover time, etc. You can do all that in training mode. Some other things you can do. This is the same. The debug keys are the same. You could bring up the debug. You could bring up the hitboxes. Alright. So you can see all that information there. So to bring up this right here is Control D if you don't know your debug keys to bring that up. And then Control C is the hitbox viewer. So there's that. So let's back out. Watch mode, pretty much the same. And like I said before, because in Mugen you cannot play, there is no versus mode where you versus the computer other than arcade or any of the other modes. But if you just want to have a quick match, that is solved in Ikemen Plus now. Okay, so we don't need to go over watch mode extra. And first let me say the main thing about Ikemen. If you have the knowledge, the know-how, you can create any mode I assume with the knowledge that you can, and it's been said because it is open source. You just have to have the knowledge to do so. In the interest, of course. But anyways, let's go to extra. And as we were saying, free battle. Free battle mode is you start it. It's a quick match. You choose who you want to be. You choose who you want to fight. And that's that. Now we can do versus computer. Fight. So now we no longer have to worry about that. Okay, so free battle. Now you just want a quick match. You get right into it. There you go. We got free battle. And all of these menus, you can name them whatever you want. And you can, like, I don't know if I already went over this, but it comes with the preset Mugen screen pack, but you can change it. You just have to change it yourself. And I'll get into a little bit of that in a second. But anyways, you could change free battle to one versus computer, whatever. You could change the names to whatever you want. If you've ever used Mugen or whatever, you know how customizable it is. It does not change in this. It's the same way. Boss Rush. Boss Rush is a new feature. And we're going to take a look at the select def later. And I'm going to show you more of what it does, exactly what it does. But just telling you really quick, what this mode is each character you have in your roster, you can give that character a predefined trigger. So when you choose Boss Rush, it will only choose those characters that you've labeled as bosses. So, you know, in CVS2, how it has like Orochi, Iori, Eva Ryu type of thing, Bison Geese, whatever. You can make it so those characters will be in this Boss Rush. And you have to beat all those characters that you labeled as bosses in order to beat it. Versus 100, similar, kind of like survival in a way, but you're going against 100 opponents. Again, you can specify whether you want it to be single tag, etc. But you're trying to beat. This is more of like a personal challenge. That can you beat 100 opponents? I think this is another thing. Again, like this is a mode that was created from scratch by someone. This was not in Mugen, and yeah, it's just another thing that I'm just showing you that if you have the know-how, you can create whatever modes you want. I'm sure you could make a time attack if you had the know-how, or whatever type of mode you wanted to make. Okay, so bonus game. So in a bonus game is, again, like the Street Fighter 2 bricks, the Street Fighter 2 car. If I were to play arcade mode, I could have it so at the fourth battle is always going to be the bonus game, right? I'm sure if anyone has ever tried to put themselves in arcade mode together, you do a few fights, a bonus game, a rival, whatever, and then the boss. Bonus game, you go straight to the bonus games. And you can add whatever bonus games you want. As you add them, they will appear here, excuse me. And then you could just play the bonus games directly whenever you want. And you can add as many you want. As far as functionality goes, you're going to have to test it yourself because I don't know. I haven't really used that many. And some of them are really old, so you may have to have the knowledge in order to make them work with this. But again, it's something you'll have to test for yourself. I can't tell you everything because I don't use everything. I can only tell you about the things that I personally use. But anyways, for example, let's go to Catwalk. Choose it. It's going to load it up. This minigame is pretty much like Dance Dance Revolution. And I don't know which buttons are on the keyboard, so I'm automatically leaving. You suck. I could do this one, I think. Yeah, I don't know the buttons on the keyboard, but whatever. Yes, as I'm showing you, you can play a bonus game directly, the Duck Hunt one. Fight. I showed some of this in the last video I did, but again, as I'm saying, you can add whatever bonus games you want and play them directly here. So maybe this will encourage people to make bonus games. Just imagine, you know, I always wanted, okay, so we already have a beat 'em up type of bonus game or like a Streets Rage type of thing, but imagine if we had a stage to go with it where it's side scrolling like a beat 'em up and you beat these characters as you continue progressing through a stage. See, my personal goal is eventually to make something like that. I wanted to do this. I'm rambling right here, excuse me, but I wanted to make this kind of Darkstalker Steam stage, which was kind of like akin to a Castlevania type of thing where you go through the stage, there's platforms, and there's enemies in between. Like, it'll be like Owlbath, you know, like the merman from Castlevania. He'll be jumping out of the water, attacking you. You have to jump over platforms. Basically, you get to the top, you traverse through this castle, and at the top, it'll be Dimitri. It'll be a boss battle. Imagine that as a bonus game. I don't know. I'm just thinking. I'm just saying, like, the possibilities are endless. But we don't really have that many people who are interested in creating stuff, which sucks. But I'm making this hopefully to inspire someone to make something, because I'm trying to do my own thing too. So having more people around would definitely be cool, and it'll motivate me personally to go even harder. But anyways, that's for the bonus games. It's a really cool feature. It's new and exclusive to Ikemen, as well as everything on this extra menu. Replay. So you're fighting someone online, right? And you didn't record it. Sometimes I record it as I'm playing, but sometimes that has, in my experience, some people have experienced lag from that. But it's really, case by case. Replay automatically saves your replays that you play online. So once you played online, you could press this and it'll show you your last replay. I believe every time you make a new replay, it erases the other one. So you only can save one at a time. But the secret to this is once you recorded a replay, you go into the replay folder and you change the name of it. So that way you can have a bunch of replays of your online matches, whatever. Now, demo mode. Demo mode basically just, you know how when you don't press anything, you're idle on the screen and it just goes into like characters fighting each other. This is basically what that is. It's going to randomize characters in the stage and they're just going to fight each other, right? Like instantly, quick match type of thing. But one thing I do know, but this is in Ikemen Go. I'm not sure if, actually I do know that it was said that this version of Ikemen is discontinued because they started working on a newer one. I have no information on that newer one, but for right now, we're just using this one because though that newer version is available and I put it out there, this version is still more stable altogether. And I recommend using this one. Even though that version promises to add even more features, this alone is already far superior than Mugen itself. So still, I recommend you trying this. But that is the demo mode, But I was going to say that in the newer version, they said that it was already implemented, but just not publicly. But basically how if you leave it idle, it'll just go through the character select, pick a character, and they'll fight like a demo mode like it does in real arcade games. Again, we're just getting closer and closer to replicating arcade mode type games, It's awesome. Okay, so now let's go back to our main menu. I guess I didn't go over options. Again, now you don't have to press escape. There's actually an exit button. You can go to exit. I mean, you may not see him a lot for much, but I mean, for me, I use the controller, and I set my laptop down on the floor, and I plug it into my TV, and I use my controller wirelessly, so I don't want to have to get up and press escape. I mean, I know it sounds lazy, but you know what I mean. It's just like another feature. Like that's it. More like a game. Okay, so options. Like again, we did not have an options menu. Now we do. In some of my videos, like I was saying, I changed the life to like 150. You can change it to whatever you want, but I keep it at 150 so the videos are longer. It's not something that's set to any type of a game or anything. You can change it how you see fit to your preference. Game speed, same thing. When you watch the videos, like this is too fast, this is too slow. It doesn't matter because you can change it however you want. You know what I mean? It's not limited. It's not set in stone. You can customize it. The rounds, the round time, etc. Port change. Port change used to be on the main menu. It no longer is and is now a part of the options. If you need to open your ports, etc., that is there for you to do so. Gameplay settings. Okay, let's check this one out. Difficulty level, you can control the difficulty level as per normal. Something new, arcade coins. Immediately I'm thinking Streets of Rage 2, how you could change the lives and things like that, but there's other games you can control how many coins you want in arcade mode before it's game over. In this Ikemen Plus, there was actually a continue screen. Once you lose, it's going to take you back to the continue screen, and we'll see that a little bit later. Do you want to change character at continue? Do you want to be able to switch characters? It's pretty self-explanatory. AI ramping. The AI will automatically get stronger as you proceed through arcade mode. Yes, if you want an arcade, more like an arcade experience, I would recommend that. So the bosses at the peak are the hardest. Auto guard. You want them to be auto guarding. Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. But remember the coin things because we're going to get back to that. Team settings, okay? Again, this is more like a ratio mode. When there's any type of handicap, whether it's 1 versus 2, 1 versus 3, 1 versus 4, whatever, what have you, This is the setting for that. Will player 1 have an advantage over them? Turns. When you do turns mode, after that person wins, how much life will they recover? You know what I mean? That's pretty self-explanatory again. Oops, I actually changed it. Disadvantage life share. I have not used this one, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty self-explanatory. Like, do you want them to share life on the disadvantage? On the handicaps, turn limits, you can actually set a limit to the turns in the tag. So you can make it so you can only do 3 turns. You can only do 4 or whatever, what have you. Simul type is, again, I have to say it's different for me because I use a tag system. If you don't use a tag system, I can tell you what this will assist means the computer will control your character. If you switch it to tag, you will control the character. So if you were to play if you were to play arcade mode on tag, you can have the computer control your partner, or you can control your partner. Right now, I can tell you that this is what this setting does. All right, now let's go to audio. I don't need to really go to audio to separate the channels. You don't really need to mess with that. Video. Now here is the kicker right here. So resolution. You can change the resolution to whatever you want to, and there's a bunch of other ones listed here as well. You see HD, HD plus, Full HD, widescreen. It's up to you. OpenGL. Do you have OpenGL? If you have OpenGL, you're not going to change this. If you don't, I don't even think you're going to be able to get to this menu if you don't have OpenGL. So, I mean, I guess it really doesn't matter. But you're not going to want to take that off. Zoom settings. Again, this is something that I'm asked about a lot, and this is not unique to me or what I'm doing. This is something that is unique to the engine itself. People make stages and they add zoom to the stages. You no longer have to do so. Ikemen innately has its own zoom. You don't need to add zoom to your stages. You can play with the zoom off, of course, or you can play with it on. If you play with it on, you control the zoom out, the zoom in, the zoom speed, etc. So you're watching my videos and it's too much zoom, it's too fast, or it's too close in. It doesn't matter because it's all the preference, and you can change it to however you like. It does not matter what someone else has, because you can make it however you want and enjoy it to your preference, at your discretion. And that's the zoom settings. And we'll get more into the zoom stuff because there's other things that you can actually use to mess with those zoom settings a little bit more. So input settings, pretty self-explanatory. Keyboard, gamepad. You click on those and you change your keys. So, yep, like that. Player 1 controller, you could change it to gamepad or keyboard. Me personally, in my experience, I can't speak for everyone. For some reason, Mugen, Ikemen alike, you cannot use all of the buttons. For some reason, I think it's the triggers that don't always work. I'm not sure, but for me, like I use a PS4 controller and the triggers don't work. So I don't change any of this. I don't even change to gamepad. I can link a program that was given to me by an associate, is so I could use any type of controller and it'll work fine. I don't have to change any of this. You just assign, it's like Xpadder and things like that. If you're familiar with third-party apps, you basically also Input Mapper is another good one. You set your keys to keys on the keyboard and then just control it from there. That way on my controller I can use L1 and L2 for the 3 punches and the 3 kicks, and then the rest of the buttons are assigned as normal. But I know you cannot use all of the buttons. Also on Ikemen you can use an additional button, but that button has to be coded in, I believe. But for me, I wanted to change that additional button to a start button so we could pause the game and change it so taunt is select instead of start. So you can taunt and pause the game from the controller instead of pressing it on the keyboard. I think that would be awesome. Like eventually I want to have my own pause menu and that you can actually navigate in a real game, etc. Things like that. But let's get out of here. Let's back out. Alright. Hold on a second. Alright, I'm gonna edit that out. I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick. So, where were we? Okay, so, so we went over these things. Before I go into actually using the modes, let's go over the select again in the folder so you can see how to actually edit some of these things. So here we go, we have our root folder again. So if you look in the data folder, it's very much like Mugen, and I'm assuming that most of you have used Mugen. So if you have, then I don't really need to explain any of this to you. But if you haven't, and this is your first experience to any of this at all, then I can understand you not knowing how to add any characters or any of that, what have you. But as you see, all of this is normal. The data folder looks as it does in Mugen. No, you got the credits, the fight FX, the game over, the intro, the logos, whatever you add, it's up to you. And the select def is the same as always. But as I was telling you before in the beginning, hold up, where is it? Wait, hold on, let me change it to the notepad so you can see it. So if you open up notepad, the select def, you'll see, as I was telling you before, with the word wrap or whatever, everything is all bunched up. That's why you need to get Notepad Plus. It will automatically organize it in the same format that it was put together. That's why it's going to look all funky like this. You can yourself, if you wanted to, go through with the enter button and clean it up and organize it, but get Notepad Plus. Do yourself a favor. So I'm going to exit. I'm going to open it again in Notepad Plus. So let's get it here. And now, what do you know? It's suddenly more readable. It looks like a normal select def, right? How to add characters. Now, I want to present some information to you all. Everyone who's asking, how do I do something? You know, 9 times out of 10, as it is here, everything is explained in the document. If you actually read it, all of the information that I'm about to go over is listed here, and you can see a syntax, and you can see, if you just read it, you can look at it and it explains how to do everything right above where it is you're supposed to enter it. So I'm not going to read everything because you do have to do some of the work yourself, and I just feel like it's understandable, it's reasonable. Like, the information is there for you to read it, and if you really want to learn, you should read it. So first thing first, how do I add a character? I'm just going to go over this for someone who does not know. How do you add a character? All you do is, you see, this was a random select. I wanted to add Ryu. I entered Ryu. So Ryu, this is the name of the character. This is the name of his folder. This is the name of his def file. If all of these match, that character will appear in your Ikemen game, whatever you want to call it. All of these files need to be the same name, and I'm not going to go into how to make a character or whatever, but it depends on how you assign each thing, how you label each thing. If you know how to do that, then, I mean, it pretty much kind of coincides within itself. It's pretty self-explanatory what you do. All you have to do is add the name, and that's it. That's how you add a character. Same thing with the stage. You get the stage name. You put stages in front. This is the root folder that it's in, and the name of the stage, .def. That's it. That's how you add that stuff. Insert stages below, and it shows you some examples, etc. of if you really wanted more information on how to do it. But okay, so Ikemen features. When you read this document, let's look out for these Ikemen features. Those are unique features to Ikemen. So the first Ikemen feature we see, there can be more than one stage assigned to a character. So that means a character can have more than one stage assigned to him, and it'll randomly choose between those. So there's various versions of Suzaku Katsu. If I want Ryu to appear in both of them, I can randomly. Same thing with any other character. I'm just gonna read the stuff that is of interest. Same thing with the music. You can have more than one music track for a stage. You can have characters with their own themes. You could have a zoom setting specifically for a stage. So that means that you can have it so each stage that you choose individually can have its own zoom settings. So if you're having problems with stages that zoom in too much, or not enough, you can specifically change those so that it fits your preference. Boss. Okay, so again, this is a unique Ikemen feature. If you add the value to a character, you can specifically make it so they will appear in the boss rush. That's what that does. Bonus, same thing with that. Which things are uniquely bonus? That means bonus characters won't show up as it says. You can just read it right here, but basically you can exclude them from the mode if you want it, or if you want them to be like that. AI, if you want to make it so that character is specifically a certain difficulty. Windscreen, like if you don't want a windscreen on a bonus game, like it won't say like a win quote against a bonus game, whatever. Include the stage, so you don't want your training stage to be in versus or stuff like that. The boss stage is only for the boss, etc. Stuff like that. Exclude is what you'll do to if you want to have boss only characters. So your bonus games, so your friend can't pick a bonus game to troll you. So your friend can't pick a boss character to troll you, whatever. Because for me, personally, I have made some characters that are boss only. Like you only could pick Orochi, you only could fight him in the arcade or story mode. You can't actually play as him. But whatever, if you were trying to make something like that, you can make it so. The order is just as it was in Mugen, but here is the main Ikemen feature that just had me like, oh man, because we now can have specific arcade orders. So that means that every individual character can have their own ladder. And I'm using ladder, if you don't know the terminology, is just in fighting games. Street Fighter Alpha, for example, or Mortal Kombat, you see each character has their own route that they go up and they face certain opponents. You basically can control this. So you can decide who faces who and when they face them. You know what I mean? So Ryu, first opponent, I actually have it down on my, I'll look at it later, but whatever. First opponent is, say, Terry. Second opponent is Ken. Third opponent is Kyo. His boss is always going to be Akuma. Whatever the case may be, you can control it. In regular Mugen, you cannot control it. The arcade order is the one arcade order you choose is the same for all of the characters. So that means the order is going to be the same. Whether you pick Ryu, Ken, Akuma, whoever, it's always going to be the same, and you can't change it. You can't make it unique. Here, because you can make it unique, you can create story elements. You can create the rival battles. You can create things of that nature. So that already gets us even closer to an arcade console type of thing. That is tremendous. But again, it's not going to appeal to those who are not interested in developing or making their own game or making their, I don't even want their Mugen or whatever, making it more like an actual game type of thing. Like, you have to be interested in that type of thing for this to interest you. Otherwise, it's just like, oh, that's it, it's whatever. But that's a huge thing. That is a really, really huge thing. It's a huge step in the right direction. So again, let's read this. Points to the match number in arcade mode. Overwrites character that you would face normally. That means it's just going over, like I was saying, how you could specifically have it to face specific characters. This functionality introduces a simple solution for implementing story-like arcade modes similar to the one in Street Fighter Alpha 3, where characters always face their rivals along the way. And again, that's what I was just saying before, but I'm actually going to go to that video so you can see it yourself. So you can see if you haven't played this game, because not everyone has. I don't want to assume that everyone has played this game. Okay, give me a second. Alright, so this is the video of Alpha 3, so you can see what I mean, or what that just described. So if you didn't know, in this game, when you pick a character, each character has they already automatically have characters assigned to them that they'll face in their arcade ladder. And I'm not sure about the arcade differences and the port differences, but sometimes the first opponent is always the same first opponent no matter what if you pick that character. So Guile is always going to be fighting against whoever he's going to be fighting against now, or you can have it so it's random. So if there's a pool of 5 characters, it can randomize between those 5 characters, or you can make it so he always faces that one, if you understand that. So here's his little intro, whatever. Oh, okay. This skips the actual arcade ladder thing, whatever. But once he gets to the fifth fight, I think as the fifth fight is Street Fighter Alpha 3. This, for example, is a rival battle, and in the rival battles, you get this little dialogue and whatever. And that's similar to the dialogue thing that I try to do, but mine is more based on SVC Chaos and KOF 13, where all the characters interact with each other, even though there still are rival battles. Like characters, instead I'll do like a special intro to go along with that dialogue type of thing. But yes, you can do it like that. So he's facing another rival. His rival is Charlie. But basically, like, see, Guile's last opponent before Bison is Charlie. But if you were to make if in Mugen, if you wanted to say, you can't do that because you set up your arcade mode. So if I pick Ryu, the ninth opponent, the ninth opponent is still gonna be Charlie. You know what I mean? You can't separate the two. That's why in Ikemen, each character has their individual routes that you can make. That's why that is amazing, man. You guys don't know how cool that is. We've been wanting something like this for a long ass time. And I have not seen anyone else jump on this, by the way, besides me. So I'm just letting you guys know. Hopefully this will make you reconsider, because that already is a huge step in the right direction. So this is basically just explaining what that did, as I was saying. And then his ending, if you saw that video I made, is pretty much based. I did a remake of that, except made some changes, removed Chun-Li, and some of this other stuff. But yeah, we can do so much. We just have to put the time in to do it. I'm a noob, but I'm trying to learn. The ending I did was probably very basic, but that was my first try. So, I mean, I love to see other people try to do things, and if other people try to do things, we can learn from those things so we can do even more stuff. But I digress. Will that happen? I don't know. But anyways, let's get back to what we're getting into. So, again, oh, let me switch the screen, my bad. Let's go back to our select. Hopefully I was clear on that example as also, because I'm really trying to nail that down, like that we can do that. And again, there's even more information. Like I said, there's examples, information for you to read. All the information is here for you to see. So, Kung Fu Man, this is his stage that he'll be on when you fight him. If you want this stage to not appear anywhere else, then when you're facing him in arcade mode, this is what Include Zero is. Include Stage 0. You can make him come in here on his own stage with his own music. It'll overwrite the music that's on that stage, and he'll have that song. So characters can have their own theme, like on Marvel vs. Capcom, how they have their own themes when they come out. Again, this is just showing them all together. Now this is showing the rival battle. So him, this is the stage he'll be on. He'll be number 3 if you fight him in arcade. His third person he'll face is himself, 6 Suave Dude. Like I'm saying, you can set this so it's whatever you want. This could be Guile, this could be whatever. However you want to do it, you can make it so each character has specific characters that they face in the arcade mode to make it unique to them, to create other things, like I said, a story or whatever. And again, this is here if you're adding it all together. So him, the stage he'll be on. I think I don't know if this is supposed to be on here. It's like if it can randomize between these two stages if you had multiple stages. For example, if you gave him 2 stages, he'll either appear on one or the other. It'll cycle through however many you chose. I don't know if there's any limit to that. I haven't tried it. I have not experimented with it, but I believe that's what it is. Same thing with the song. It will either play this song or that song, and the zoom will be 0 on that. But these are just some examples, like it says here, that you can try and experiment with. And again, for example, he has boss 1. That means he will appear in the boss rush. Alright, so that is the select def. And if you go down, you can see some other things. Again, how to add stages, how you can add the music, unique. You can add the zoom in, zoom in, minimum, maximum speed. You can have all of that case specific, stage by stage. So only this stage has zoom minimum, only this stage has zoom maximum. This stage specifically has this amount of zoom speed. You can control all of it. Here you enter your stages. Basically, this just means, if you don't already know, for those who might be new, this is the root folder in which you have your stages. So you use that, you put the dash, and you put the name of the stage, .def, because it's a def file. That's how you add stages. Just as you add characters, you just add the names exactly as they are in the folder. Here you can see Ikemen features. There's no longer a 30 limit. You can exceed that now. And what other details about ramping the AI and whatever, what have you, team mode, survival, etc. You just have to read that. But everything is here explained. You just have to read it. You just have to read it and actually try to do it. It's right there. All the information is right there. I'm sorry, I just get so tired of someone saying, how do I do this? And the information is right there. So for me, it's like you're shitting on the people who took their time to do this and explain everything. If it's right there and you're still like giving up by like not trying yourself. All the information is out there. Just try. Ask. If you don't know, ask. You can ask me. You can ask me anything and I'll tell you if I know it. But try to do it yourself first. Please. All the information is there. Anyways, let's get to the next thing. Now we're going to look at some of the other files in editing some things here. So I'm going to take this one down. We're back at our, well, this is in our data folder, but let's go to a different one. Okay, hold on a second. So again, you set your life bars. I'm going to show you where you change your life bars, etc. So let's back out here. Script folder. So each of these things, how do I know what each of these things does? You download this and you have no idea what is what. Common sense, common knowledge. Look, in order to see what it is, I told you we already have our notepad plus. Let's open it and see. Let's have a look at each of these things. Let me change it so the camera's on there. Alright, so this one I just opened is the continue screen. The BGM that's going to come up on your continue screen, the BGM on your game over screen, the SSF on your continue screen, the sound on your continue screen. As you see, everything is labeled so you know what is what. Now, some of this is a bit more advanced and you'll have some common knowledge to actually mess with this stuff, but with Notepad Plus, you can see a lot of this stuff is way easier to read. And if you've ever made like a screen pack or any type of design thing, then you already know what these numbers mean. So you're already ahead of the game. So you don't have to know specifically how to do things in Ikemen. You have to know how to do things in Mugen because it's the same. It's just, it looks a little different, but it's still the same fundamentally. It's just a little bit more coding involved, but again, it's case specific on what it is, and everything is labeled. And if you look at one thing, you can kind of see how it has been put together. So that's the continue screen. I'm gonna go over another one. So data save. So you can see these are the things that are in your options menu that you changed. This is basically what controls those settings. As you see, it's the same, but here is also where you change your life bar. So you see data life bar, data life bar. That's where you change your life bar. So similar to if you were to download Mugen, you put your life bars in your data folder with a unique name, and then you route it to your fight def. Same thing, and that's how you do it right there. And we're just gonna go along, and ultimately you want to go through these things and see yourself, but you can control what key does what. As you see right here, what the debug keys do, you can change it to however you want. You could change what pause is. And except for example, like I was telling you, change the pause to the start button. So now you can pause the game if you use a controller by pressing start. Come on now. It took us that long to get to that point. That is tight. For me anyways. But anyways, like I'm saying, if you actually want to mess with this stuff, you're gonna have to actually look into it and see. Like again, you could change the name of whatever free battle. If I wanted to change it to 1 versus CPU or whatever, what have you. You can do things like that. And then of course, as if you were adding anything else, it's telling you what it is. Blah blah blah. The animations for it. Bonus games, the sound. And now let's go to the main. This is the one I really wanted to get to. Alright, so again, life bars, debug, SSF for your system, the sound, the fonts, the music. I'm just going over these quickly. I'm sorry if I'm not getting too in depth with it because I can't explain everything because there's a lot of things I also don't know, but still I'm just trying to make this. I mean, this is going to be lengthy, but still, if you really want to mess with this stuff, you're going to have to experiment and see what does what yourself. And again, read, because again, all of these things are listing what it is: the sound, the fonts, the music, the BGM, right here, the character select, right there. But again, if you have no experience in doing certain things, then, you know, it's going to be harder for you. Again, here we go. The title background. So this is like, how do I change my screen pack? This is the animation number for the title. And if you go down here at the bottom, each thing has a little thing. It's like down here some more, but you just have to look for it. You can use Control F and search for it. The position, the tile, the window, parallax, whatever. Button backgrounds, everything is labeled as you would label it yourself as you were making it. It's telling you what each of these things is. So if this were the logo, so in order to learn what this is and where it is, so that says logo. So that means you would open in Fighter Factory, if you use that or whatever you use, open it and look for this sprite number. Then you'll see it. Then you'll see what it is, and that way you'll know. I mean, yeah, that way you'll know what it is, so you can change it. So you can change the position of it, or whatever. If you want to add other things to it, if you want it to move, if you want to put alpha on it, etc. Alpha, excuse me. Basically, I'm trying to say, use this as a base in order to make something. So it's a reference point. You see that this is here, so you go and look it up and see where that is. So if I wanted to change the logo, I would go and see the logo, then I would change it to my logo, then I would come back here and change it accordingly. If it was animated, then I will be adding more lines to it, etc. So it will animate if it needed alpha, whatever, what have you. And again, these are just more parameters. And you really don't need to mess with this stuff unless, again, you were trying to make a screen pack, whatever. And again, if you know what you're doing, and you don't really need to look at these things unless you are, I mean, if you want to try and see what does what. I mean, I encourage you to mess with things and see what they do. But I'm going to go, let me just freaking get to some, I'm just going to go through these pretty fast. But yes, you can have, I'm going through these so you can see, you can edit these. So each of your menus can have like a different screen. Each of your menus can show a different picture, display a different image, or whatever. You can do all of that. And that's why each of these things are separate, because you can edit each of them individually. Before, all of these were together in one, but now they've been separated, organized, and labeled. So now you can see, as you want to edit those specific things, then you would go to that specific LUA file. And again, we're using Notepad Plus, so it's easily readable, and it's organized, colors, whatever, everything is easily readable, so you can see what does what. So I'm going to just get right here and go to our select.lua. Here you can see how you change the columns, how you change the rows, offset rows, etc. All of the information is here. All you have to do is look through those and change the values accordingly. If you want to have a specific type of setup, then you're gonna have to mess with these things and see. Like I said, I haven't really been. This is like if you want to make something like dynamic, like I don't know. I don't make screen packs, so I can't really say like a select screen that was just going horizontally or diagonally or something like that. Whatever the case may be, you would just change it accordingly. Me, I do something simple. I use like I have like 1 row, 4 columns because I'm trying to go for a KOF aesthetic. So characters are in teams of 4. So that's why I do it like that. That's how I personally have it. But this is the base one. But this is how you add more columns. If you add a lot of characters and your characters are not appearing, it's because you need to add more columns. You need to add more space for those characters. And you always want to have it so because you can add hidden characters or unselectable stuff like the bonus games, the training, whatever, you always want your columns to be 1 less than it will be. It's like you're not counting those, those extra things, the training mode, whatever. So your number is always going to be like 1 higher than that last row of however many unselectable stuff you want. You know what I mean? Hopefully that makes sense because you don't want your hidden stuff to be selectable. So you're not going to put it so there's enough rows for it to show up. If you don't, then it'll remain hidden and it'll only be selectable as by your preference. Storyboard LUA, I believe this was a work in progress type of thing, so I don't really know much about it. But again, you can look at these things and read them and see if you can get something from it. But the script folder is where you edit those things. And like I said, when you get this, just go everything with Notepad Plus. You may know more than me because I don't really know everything like I'm saying, and I haven't experimented with everything. So it's good for you to take the time and try it yourself so you can get the best result. Oh, hold on. I literally looked at my screen and I thought that it was not recording. I was going to be like, holy fuck. But I am still recording. Okay, thank goodness. And damn, we're at an hour right now. But anyways, I literally was scared for a second there. Holy shit. The sound folders, whatever, is the same. Everything else is the same as you would have it, as you would already know. Again, if you make replays, this is where your replays will show up. And then the fonts and all that other stuff, where you put your characters, tools. When you first open Ikemen Plus, it's going to ask you something. And what it asks you is if you want to create, you know how you have the standing animations on the screen, on the continue screen? What that does when you press yes is going to cycle through all of their sprites and find the sprites that are needed for that fit that, because the person who did it set it up so it's automatically going to search for those key animation numbers or sprite numbers and put those. That's why the continue screen is always going to be that little dizzy motion. And then let me just go to it so you can see it as well. But yeah, it cycles through those things so you can see where it goes where. After that's done, I recommend deleting that folder because if your character has a lot of stuff in it, it's gonna retain that size. It's gonna be extra weight. So you should delete all those that are not being used. And the way you can look at it is if you go to your data folder, and you go to character res thing right there. Hold on, let me pause this music because it's about to be loud. Oh, I already muted it. Okay. So let me go to it so you can see what I'm talking about. So here you can see it shows what everything is being used. See sprite for 5040, 5300, 170, etc. These are all the things that are being used. So, and then you control the power that it shows, whatever that it displays on the character select and all that. You can control all of that. So once you do this, if you want to use it, so the thing is like that. Oh, hold on a second. I'm moving the wrong thing. If you want it so your characters are animated on the screen, then you keep this, and everything that's not being displayed here, delete everything else because it's just extra data that you don't need. It's just going to make your file even bigger. So delete everything that's not being used. Excuse me. So now I'm going to go to my Ikemen just to show you. So this is the screen you'll see. It's basically asking you if you want to do that. If you want them to be visible on the select screen, you could put no, you could disable it completely, or you could put yes, do it now, but I'm gonna put no. Then it's gonna load your intro. I haven't really changed my screen back because I've been focusing on other things, but you can have your own intro, your logo, like you just saw right here. This is the default Mugen one. You can have it however you want to, and you can also customize it however you want to. Right now I have the sound muted, whatever, but I have not changed this yet because I was like in the middle of making it, but then I was just like, oh, I don't feel like doing this. And then I changed the select screen because I was tired of looking at that default Mugen select screen. So I just changed it to an older thing I use, but I'm not keeping it. I'm just using it temporarily because I got tired of looking at the other thing. But anyways, yeah, you can customize however you want. But you see how they are, that's his stance on the screen. And then you can pick him. But while I do that, let me go over another thing. I'll turn the sound on. Hopefully it's not too loud. But anyways, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, but let's go back to our select def so you can look at another thing that I was explaining earlier about the how you can set your specific arcade battle and all that. So I'm going to my select right now. Give me a second, and then I'll put it on the screen. All right, so look, as we went over before, Ryu. So this means that Ryu will appear on this stage. This is his stage that I have set. So when Ken fights Ryu, he's going to be on the stage that's set for him, right? So each of these characters, they have their own stage. That's how I did it anyways. I wanted characters to have their own stage. If I want it, I can make it so even though the stage has its own theme, I can make it so he has his own specific thing. If you look up here, it shows you an example of how to do so. So Ryu will have a unique theme that plays when you fight him. So the arcade order thing that I was talking about, I do it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I do it because you can have it to where it's only the third battle that's a rival. You can have the first 2 random, but I was doing it just to have it so it's like all the way up to the boss. I want it to be unique to however I want it. So anyways, the first opponent is always going to be Terry, no matter what. As long as I pick Ryu, the first opponent is always going to be Terry. The second opponent is always going to be Ken, and so forth. And the boss is always going to be Akuma for Kyo. This is his stage that he will appear on. So when I face Ryu against Kyo, he's going to be on this stage. When I face Ken against Ryu, he's going to be on this stage. And then so forth. So far, so forth, whatever, how do you say that expression? Kyo, first person Ken, Terry, Ryu, Geese, bonus, boss. So like I said, if you want to make it so it's like all the Capcom characters are facing the SNK character bosses, or vice versa, however you want to do it, it really doesn't matter. We have the ability to do so. We can control this arcade mode way more than we could in Mugen. So now after you've seen this, I'm gonna see, let's see if it goes exactly how it is here as it's listed. Alright. So remember who our first opponent was? I'm gonna start it. Boom. Match 1. Who is it? And again, all of this stuff, you can customize it and have something all fancy. Eventually, I want to have it like that. Have a cool ass screen pack. Eventually, you know. And what stage is he on? He's on the stage that we have selected. I'm just gonna F1 it just so you can see it, just to get through it really quick. And then you can set your win quotes. I just have not done that yet. And then you could change this victory screen. You can use the screen, the win screen that's in the engine. The one I use in the videos is manual. I did it manually just so it just looks cooler to me. And you could turn off this win screen so it'll just display my manual one. But I'm like in the midst of deciding which one I want to use because I don't know how to do screen pack stuff. But I want to make it so when it's at the windscreen, it still shows the background on the scenes that they just fought. I want it like that, but I don't know how to do it in the screen pack version, so I did it manually. But anyways, let's continue. Match 2 is Ken, and he's going to be on that stage that he was on. And again, this is some of the dialogue stuff. You can, like I said, you can do it however you want to, but that's just an extra mile I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to go the extra mile to do something like that. And in the definitive version, I want to have the dialogue for all of the characters. I still have to write all of it, obviously, or whatever, but when I'm all done, that's what I want it to look like. And again, it's Ken. He's facing Ken as the second opponent, and it's on his stage. Third opponent, Kill. Again, on his stage, as we said it. And you can set character-specific win quotes. I just have not, but you can. We can do all that. Fourth, Bison. And again, he's on his stage also. Goodness, I hope the audio isn't all screwed up. I'll be so upset. Bonus stage, right? How we have it set. That's just how I personally want it. I want it to be fight, bonus. I mean, eventually, once I do more characters, I want it to be at least 8. So 3 bonus, 3 bonus. My math is all off, whatever, because I'm not even really thinking about it. But you get what I mean. I want to have it intervals like that. And you see, there was no rain screen on the bonus because he's not gonna say, "Oh yeah, I just kicked your ass bonus game." But you could have that if you wanted to. Alright, so basically, I'm going to cut it off right here. Well, I'm going to press escape to show you what happens. But after you beat this, it's just going to go over to the game over screen and say game over. And then it's going to go back to the main menu. There is no ending for Ryu. I did not make one yet. But that's all it's going to do. But if you were to make an ending, you could make an ending, credits, game over, etc. All of that. I have not done any of that yet. So I'm just going to press escape. When you lose in arcade mode, it's going to go to this screen right here. The continue screen. Right? And again, way back in the video when we were talking about the coins, however many coins you set in options, that's how many tries you'll have in order to beat the arcade mode. So if you wanted to challenge yourself, you would only put 0 because you're not going to lose to a computer, right? But if you press OK, you're going back into it. Going back to the select screen, going to fight Akuma again. Then Ryu just gets waxed again, just like that. He just looks at him and it was already over. Anyways, you see that animation that we were saying before, the dizzy is being used here on the screen. If you get all out 0, then it's over. It's game over. Then it's gonna go back to the intro. Then it's eventually gonna go back to the main menu. Whew. Okay. Now that was that. That was the arcade mode. So let me go over a few other things that I think I missed, because this is actually my second time recording this, because again the volume was all screwed up. I hope it's not screwed up this time. It's the online mode. Now you have versus mode. Versus mode was originally the only mode that regular Ikemen had, but now we can play team co-op, team arcade, whatever. We can play it co-op online. We can also do survival co-op online. I don't know if I went over this already, but if I didn't, I am now. But anyway, I pretty much showed you everything that's worth showing you that is different. I believe I went over all the modes. Yeah, I think I went over all this stuff. It's just making me think I haven't because I'm looking at these fonts. But I believe that is all. I guess another thing I can show you is something that is in Ikemen Plus by default. Tag mode 3v3, 4v4. You don't have to do any tricks, mods, patches, or anything to get this to work. All you have to do, you see on tag, it's on 2, 3, 4. Now it's 4v4. Now you're choosing 3 characters. Now you're choosing 2. Now you're choosing 3. Now you're choosing 4. Okay, so let me choose 3. Boom. Ryu, Ken, Kill, Tag. And I wanted to put on. I'll just put 3 again. Chun-Li, Gaia, Charlie. And I choose the stage. And then that's it. That's all it takes. But the thing is, with 3v3 and 4v4, you have to develop life bars, etc., to go along with 3v3 and 4v4. No one has, but it is possible to use this. So hopefully, maybe this can interest someone into, you know, developing things for some 3v3 type of gameplay or whatever. But as you see, it's right here, already set up. But because this life bar is like, it only supports, I mean, it actually supports 4 characters, but it has to be developed further. It's like in progress, I believe. But anyways, as you see, I can have 3 characters now. It's set to keyboard right now, but I could change between them like that. So we can have 3v3 just like that. The only thing right now is, I know in Ikemen Plus you can't do this, but in Ikemen Go it would display all of the names of all 3 characters, all 4 characters, etc. on the same time. But again, as I'm telling you, that would mean you, who's developing it, would have to make it so your stuff works with it, if that makes sense. So it's not really going to be a default type of thing. It will if you use the base, but if you want to use specific life bars, specific this and that, you're going to have to configure it yourself. I'm personally not interested in 3v3 or 4v4, etc. It's something that's there you can play with, but I'm not trying to build anything towards that. So you can use it, but it'll probably be buggy as hell because that's just not my prerogative. I'm not interested in it. Tag itself already is so much work and is already incomplete in itself. So it's like trying to, you know, you kind of got to make this one good before you try to go into a new venture. But if someone wanted to make a 3v3 game, they could. You know, you just have to put that time in. It's possible. It's there. If you did not know about it, now you do. So we can do stuff like that. I'm using the keyboard. I was going to try to like switch between all 3 of them and do a super, but looking kind of... I can't even do it on the keyboard. Holy crap. But I was trying to do like go through each of them like Marvel's Capcom 2 doing supers like that. You can't do that on this. But like I'm saying, someone just has to come along and be interested in making that, and then you guys will have it. But on Ikemen Plus, like I told you, is literally like the middle child, and there's already a newer version, but this is the most stable, so I recommend staying to this. Unless you do want to experiment with Ikemen Go, you can. I have very little, which is that Darkstalkers build is that the little I've experimented with it. And I think that's it. So, I'm trying to think. Anything else that I go over? I believe I went over everything that you need to know. The important things. But mostly, again, as I'll say, this is really not... It probably will seem like nothing for those who just casually play this stuff and they're not really interested in building anything. But if you're interested in making something and building something, this is what we need to use, and we need to take it further to the next level. That's why I put it in the title. That's why I put online. I'm trying to garner attention to it so we can take it further. I'm not doing it just so you can see the name over it or to get views or attention. That is not my aim. My aim is for us to just garner more attention so we can have more stuff. So things don't stop. So things don't die out. I'm trying to keep things going in my own way. And I feel like if everyone contributed to that, it would be much easier. So I need some help from you guys. Try it out. Try it out for yourself and see. At least try. Try putting your Mugen, porting it over to Ikemen and just seeing how it works, how it looks, how it can completely look different. Just from some simple changes like adding zoom, adding arcade mode features like that. You should just try it out. I just highly recommend it. And I just want to see more videos of Ikemen, etc. I just want to see more stuff happening with this stuff. Because right now I don't really see much going on with it. There are a few people, you know, making stuff on it. But that's like a few. Like I can count on my hand how many people are using it. But that's pretty much it, and hopefully this video informed you. If I did not cover anything, if I missed something, please tell me in the comments, and I will try to the best of my ability answer it. But again, I do not know everything. I am not an Ikemen developer, none of that. I am just a regular guy like you guys who is trying to make something by experimenting with it. I'm trying. It's a bunch of trial and error for me as well. It's the same. So if you're interested, we can work together and we can put our ideas together, whatever, and try to make things happen. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it informed you on a lot of things, and hopefully you were able to get something out of it at the very least. So again, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope to see more Ikemen videos, and I just hope to see you guys experimenting with it, really. All right, peace out.